Hey everybody, welcome back to the Benogan Blacksmith. I've had a few requests recently to show how I make my charcoal. Before we start, little disclaimer, this is not meant to be a how-to video. This is not me instructing you how to do it. This is just me showing you how I do it, okay? And I also have to say that making charcoal is dangerous, working with fire, there's hot embers, make it at your own risk, okay? I bear no responsibility. The other thing I do want to say is that if you do decide to make charcoal, make sure you got your safety measures in place. These are safety glasses, safety boots. I've got my work boots on, gloves. My water supply is 2 meters that way, just behind the camera. I've got a tap. I've also got a fire extinguisher there. Okay, so, and I'm going to be around here all day, so I'm not going to start a fire and then just walk away for 5 hours or something. I'll be here working in this area all day. Right here, I've got some timber I've got to split. My forge is just over there, so you get the idea. Okay. Now, first things I want to talk about is the barrel. I've tried a lot of different systems. Originally, what I was doing was starting a fire in the bottom and then just slowly adding timber over about an hour to an hour and a half, letting it burn all the way up. And then I'd just get something like one of these lids with, you get 44-gallon drums with a lid. You can find them around the place. So I just went on the marketplace, found some 44-gallon drums with lids, and then I just stick the lid on top. And I've just got right here behind the camera, I've got like a big slab of concrete that I just stick on the top, and it just weights it down. And for me, that was working okay. And I was getting charcoal, but I was getting a fair bit of loss and the quality wasn't great. I started using a new system called retort. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here is an example of the charcoal I was getting using the old system. And yeah, this is good charcoal. This is usable charcoal, breaks up. It's charcoal. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's also a lot of ash mixed in with that. And if you see it, like, look at all that ash, right? This is using the retort system over here. This is the charcoal I'm getting. Look at the quality of this. I mean, this is just crazy, just beautiful, beautiful black charcoal. No ash or anything in between. Okay, so that's coming from the retort system. Okay, so sorry about the shaky camera stuff. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so it's working really, really well. Now, when I say retort, what I mean is this. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to empty this bin, and I'll get you. Okay, so what I have here is just a bin that I bought at the local hardware shop. Okay, and with a metal lid. Okay, now the idea is that once your bin's full, right? Once your bin's full, and you want to pack this pretty well, okay? You don't want to leave big open voids. You don't want it so packed that gas can't move in here, because what happens is when you put the lid on, right? And then what you do is when you put it into the barrel, put it in upside down. And when the timber is converting to charcoal, what happens is that this fills up with gas, and the only where it can leak out is down through here, down through the bottom. So what I do is I put it in upside down and I light a fire around it. That heats up the can, that heats up the timber off gases, and the gas ends up leaking up through here. And what that does is that the gas that it's leaking is actually flammable. It catches on fire, it burns up the side of the can, heats it up even more heat, more off gas, more flames, and it ramps itself up, and it goes around and around and around cycles. And that's what we mean by retorting. Okay, I may or may not be using that term correctly, but that's the term I'm going to use. Okay, so that's what I did. Just got myself so what I got is I got myself a 44-gallon drum with a lid. I got 2 of these cans. I find that I bought the 55-litre bins, but I find that I should have gotten a 75-litre. 2 55 litres will stack slightly higher than this. For what I'm going to try today, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. But if I went back in time, I'd probably just buy the 75 litre. Okay, so the first thing that I did was around the bottom of this barrel, I've gone around and I've cut a bunch of slits all around the bottom. Okay, you can sort of see them, hopefully, because I'm looking at the back of the camera right now. Hopefully you can see these slits all around the edge there, and there are some holes in the bottom as well. Okay, then next thing I did is I burnt my barrel. Okay, and I burnt it pretty well because the barrels are painted. Okay, and because I did buy a food grade barrel because it came with a lid, it was painted inside and out, and I did not want the residue from the paint when it was burning. I didn't want it inside my charcoal, so I did a sacrificial burnt. Just loaded up full of rubbish, set it on fire, stepped away from it because the fumes from the paint's probably toxic. I'm lucky I'm out on a property, I'm away from everybody. If now everybody, sorry about that. I'm not sure why, but the camera just stopped recording. As I was saying, I live out on a property, so when I burnt this barrel, I'm well and truly away from all my neighbours, so you know, I wasn't going to bother anybody, and I just stayed well back and just monitored it, make sure that everything was safe. So I did a sacrificial burn on the inside of the barrel just to get rid of any paint. Did the same thing on the bins, okay, because they're galvanized. Galvanization, when it burns, it releases toxic gases, and I didn't want that to go into my charcoal. Okay, so let's have a look at one bin that I've already loaded up. Okay, so I'm just going to put this up here, use it as a table. Just bear with me for a second. Now, at the moment, this bin is just tied together using baling twine. I'm not going to put the baling twine into the fire because it's just going to burn straight off, but it's just so that the lid would stay on for me while I was, you know, moving stuff around. That's all, just to make sure that it doesn't come apart. Just bear with me for a sec. Okay, so what I have here is the bin's pretty well loaded. Okay, so I load my bins up as tightly as I can with the idea that it still has room for the air to move, that the gas to move, so that when it's upside down, as I showed you before, the gas will be, you know, upside down. The gas will come out and then leak out where the lid would be at the bottom there. The next thing that I do is I actually use some wire to wire my lids on, and I do have a piece of wire that I put somewhere just here, and now I cannot see it. I'll find it later. That's fine. What I do is I put the lid on, and then I just wrap a piece of wire over the top. And the reason for that is when I'm putting it into the barrel, I don't want the lid to pop off. And when I'm pulling it out of the fire, I don't want the lid to pop off. And that's why I don't use baling twine or rope, because then otherwise, when I go to pull this out, well, not out of the fire, once everything's cool, I should say, when I take this out of the barrel, lid's going to pop off and everything's going to fall down into the bottom of the barrel. And I don't want that, because when I burn the timber around it, I could be using sacrificial timber with things like, you know, nails and other things in there, and I don't want that going into my charcoal. Okay, so that's pretty much the idea there. The only other thing that I'm going to show you, I'm going to put my gloves on for this, is that I have here a the bottom 2/3 of an old barrel that's rusted out. Okay, and so what I do is, once I've got everything loaded up, once I've got the burn going, everything's working well, I take this old rusty 44-gallon drum bottom and I just sit it on top. Okay, now it's a little bit rickety right now, but I'm going to set this barrel up a little bit more stable in a minute, and that just sits on top of there. And the reason for this is that without this barrel, as this is burning, air can just go down in here and there's not a lot of updraft, right? Now, what you want is you want updraft, because then that's going to create suction down the bottom. Air's going up, it's going to draw the air in through those slits down the bottom, right? It's going to make things burn hotter, it's going to make it burn cleaner. So this here creates a chimney effect, okay? So because it can't go down into here now, all this heat's coming up through through the top here. I'm just going to pan that camera up a little bit so you can see what I'm pointing at. All this heat is coming up through here, and that's creating all of that updraft. There's nothing in the bottom of this. It's just a hollow tube essentially. Now, I've seen other people cut lids into barrel lids and then put chimneys on top, and that would work well as well. The timber I'm going to be using to heat the cans, when I say cans, I mean the metal bins, is just, sticks from around the property. You just put the bins in there, and then I just break up the sticks and I pack those as tightly as I can all around it. Just really pack it in, and then from there I just put a bunch of leaves on top, light a fire on the top, then the other barrel goes over the top, and that creates the updraft. Hot embers down the bottom, it creates it burn downwards, and that heats the can as it burns downwards. After about, say, 45 minutes, the cans will start to retort. Once they start retorting, that's it. You can pretty much just leave them alone for the rest of the time. You don't want to leave them alone for about 24 hours. I had planned today to do a double bin burn, but I'm actually not going to do that now. Reason for it is because I've got a barrel over here that's 2/3 full of charcoal. I don't really need any more right now. I'm going to do it anyway, just to fill that barrel up. So what I'm going to do is this. I was really lucky. I put a call out onto my local Benogan local community page and asked if anybody had an old camp oven. I'll pan this down a little bit. You can sort of get an idea of the size of it. Okay. One of the gentlemen's out here named Michael. Michael, if you see this, thank you very, very much for your generosity. I really, really appreciate it. What I'm going to do is, when I put the can in, I'm going to put the can in the bottom, fill it up full of sticks, start the fire, as I said before. Then I'm going to just sit this on top of the camp oven. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this full of various size sticks. So that one's probably about the thickness of my thumb, down to something around about the size of a pencil, and so on. And I'm just going to fill this full of various different size sticks, break them up a little bit, and I'm going to charcoal these up, and then I'm going to give these out to people who are artists and who are working with charcoal. And it's basically charcoal pencils. That's what I call them, charcoal pencils. My mother is an artist, and she recently reached out to me and said, hey, can you make me some charcoal pencils? And I said, yeah, sure, no worries. So I did it, and it's so easy to do. It's crazy. So that's what I'm going to do again. Just looking right around here. Look, here's another stick I prepared earlier. Just a little stick. That's going to go in there. That'll sit on top. I'm going to fill this full of different size sticks from all around the place, and create charcoal pencils. And then from there, I know a few artists. I put a post on the Benogan page and said, hey, does anybody want some charcoal pencils? And one lady reached out and she said that she's part of an art group and that the ladies there would love some charcoal pencils. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that as well as my forging charcoal. Okay, so I just thought I'd show you the part where I mentioned before about wiring on the lid. So all I'm going to do here is a wire through here, bit of wire through here, pull it down taut as you can. Doesn't have to be super tight, and then just wrap this around. That's all you need. It's not rocket science. It's not a big heavy thing. It's just a few wraps like that, and that'll do it. And that's just going to stop that lid when you're putting it in and out of the barrel. It's just going to stop that lid from popping off. So to put it in and out of the barrel, all I do is this: put the barrel on its side, put this here, lay it down like so. Sorry about the horrible sounds. And then let that slide in. Come on. Horrible sound. Sorry about that. And that's it. So, all right, everybody. So I have loaded up the barrel. When I load up the barrel with the sticks on the sides, I just jam them in there as absolutely tight as I can. just bearing in mind that as it burns down, there's going to be lots and lots of air drawn in from the bottom, so up she comes. What I've done is I've just loaded this up. As you can see here, on the top here, in underneath here, we've got that can, and we've got that camp oven that I showed you before. Then from here, all I've got is just a random sticks and leaves and stuff like that in there. What I've got, and a fire lighter in the top there. So I'm going to push that down a little bit more, like so. Oops, it's probably cam's going all over the place. Sorry about that. Now I'm just going to light that up. If I can get there we go, just like that. And that's it. So now I put this over here. That's the barrel. Okay, it's lit. Next thing I'm going to do is put that chimney on that I showed you before. A few sticks in the way there. That's it. The sticks actually hold it on pretty snugly for the moment. Just get that to sit. Now that's going, and that's it. Now I can just basically monitor that for the rest of the day, but it takes no more maintenance. That's it. If I did want to do something a little bit more later, is I could probably throw a few more sticks in there, but last time I found I didn't need to. You can probably see at the moment it's smoking pretty badly. That's all the leaves and everything burning. In about 45 minutes, there'll be no smoke whatsoever. It'll just be a completely clean burn. And that's it. Now I just leave it alone. It's probably been a good 45 minutes, an hour now. It's 100%, it's retorting now. It's just going, you look at the top of the barrel, it's pretty much a clean burn. Just shimmering, there's no smoke. When I take this down to the bottom near the barrel, and I'll see if we can capture this. I don't know how well, because I'm looking at the back of it. Looking in there, you can sort of see flames going through the embers there. And I'm not going to get too close because it's just it's putting out a lot of heat. But thermal, like a digital thermometer on the outside before, and it was pushing close to about 650 degrees Celsius on the outside of the barrel. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday afternoon, a couple of days after we did the cook. There was no reason for me to leave it from Sunday when we did the cook right through to Wednesday, except for that I've just been too busy. I generally leave it around about 12 hours after I do a cook before I'll open it up. The main thing that I do is just double check that the barrel is not still hot. I'll go around, I do have a thermometer that if it's been a short time, I generally don't even touch the barrel for 12 hours. I usually like to leave it around about 24 hours. I've got a thermometer that if I'm worried, I can always check it, but after 24 hours, it's usually pretty cold. The only time it's lasted longer than that is when I've had a really, really, really full barrel. But generally it's pretty cold. So let's have a look at the cook. So the first thing we'll have a look at is the charcoal pencils. There you go. Okay. So we've got a little bit of ash there. Just going to dump it in a different barrel I got over here. No reason for that barrel except for that it's just here. No reason for me to put it in that barrel. And let's have a look at what we got. So I mentioned the charcoal pencils that I make for local artists. So it's literally just sticks that I've cooked in the camp oven, and you can see in there it's charcoal all the way through. I put a range of different pencils in there. That would probably be about as thin as I go. And I've got pencils that have gone all the way up to thicker pencils like so, and that one's probably a little bit brittle. I was a little bit iffy about this stick before I put it in there. I thought it felt a little bit too porous, but here's another one where it's just snap off the end a little bit, and yeah, there you go. So I'll take that up a little bit closer. The outer side's a little bit flaky, but inside it's quite good. So charcoal pencils, there you go. Good for artists. My plan is for this is I'm literally just going to give it to artists. That's it. I'm just going to hand them out, and if anybody needs them, they can take them. Happy to help that community, I guess, for a lack of a better term. Sorry about that. Okay, let's have a look at the actual charcoal, because I know that's what a lot of people are waiting to see. Okay, so that sounds good, believe it or not. That it feels light when I pull it up, and it's got this light rustling sound as opposed to a heavy thunk sound that a solid wood would have. So I'm just going to bring this camera over a little bit, as close as I possibly can. And there we go. Now, as I showed you in a previous video, that I wire the lids on. That's just so that the lids won't pop off when I put them in or pull them out. Just get this out of the way. And let's have a look at the charcoal itself. Oh, beautiful. Look at this. So, look at that beautiful charcoal. Here is probably the largest piece of timber that was in there. And look at it, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Perfect. All right, so that's it. That's how I make charcoal. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to shoot me a message, and I look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, always remember, safety glasses, safety gear. As I said at the beginning of this was not meant to be a how-to video. This is not me telling you what or how to do it. This is just me sharing how I do it. I bear no responsibility whatsoever. So if it helps someone, great. Other than that, have fun. All right. Thank you. Bye for now.